Green light, green light. Go, go, go. Green light, go, go, go.
Welcome everyone to watching the stream to the start of qualifying for Taco Tuesday Tier 2 Round 3 here at Silverstone. Sponsored at the moment by Next Level Racing, makers of all sorts of sim racing accessories. Go on to FRL Sim Grid, take a look. If you're enjoying this, please click like, follow us on other platforms such as Instagram, and check in the Discord. So we enter into round 3 for Taco Tuesday Tier 2 with the scores neck and neck at the top, with Liam Knott in the Porsche, who's on his outlap at the moment, and Nick X, who's still in the pits at the moment in the BMW. They are level on points at 40 with a win apiece, but we are running drop rounds, so it's not counting any points further than that because there's only been 2 rounds so far. So with a win apiece, this will now decide, this race, who goes ahead into round 4. Followed closely by, if I can find him, in another BMW, G. Harvey. G. Harvey currently sat only 2 points behind them after finishing 2nd and 4th in the first 2 rounds respectively. So, if you're not aware, the Taco Tuesday point systems are run very, very close. This is to keep the championship dreams of everyone alive right down to the wire, and it becomes for some very close, intense racing. So as people start their qualifying laps, we'll go ahead and start with Liam Knott, who's just passing Woodcut now on his outlap, and will start his first timed lap. So Liam, who's finished first then second in the first 2 rounds, the Porsche, not the strongest car around Silverstone, mostly down to its poor top end speed, but he'll have to make up for that through all the technical corners and such, and use the superior downforce of the Porsche or superior braking, should I say, and acceleration of the Porsche to get past people. But here we've got some long straights at Silverstone, coming down the Hangar Straight now into Stowe. We've also got the Hamilton Straight and the Wellington Straight, 3 long straights with very high speed sectors, which is going to hurt the Porsche, which usually has to run a relatively high wing at tracks such as this, where it needs all the help it can get at the rear. Being rear engined, there's not much of a rear diffuser to help with downforce, so it takes a lot of it from high wing angle. So coming down the Hamilton Straight now into Turn 8 into Abbey. Some people will be able to take this flat if they've got the right setup. Certainly if you're running a faster setup for quali, you might take that flat, and throughout the race just ease a little bit to save the tyres somewhat. Coming around the loop now, very important corner of the loop to get right, as you come through the loop and then flat out through Aintree, down the Wellington Straight. Big overtaking opportunities towards the end of the lap here in Sector 3 down towards Brooklands. Hard trail braking here, a very awkward corner, and staying in the middle into Luffield now. And very long right-hander Luffield, very technical, very difficult to get the power on at the right spot. Of course, all that is extremely important for your lap time. Going through Woodcut now and crossing the start finish and setting a time. I believe it was invalidated earlier. So turn 1, Cops, should be flat. And then into the infamous Maggots, Beckett's corners onto Chapel. Through Maggots, through Beckett's. Cut quite a bit of the corner there. I'm not sure if that would be a track limits warning. And we've got some of the first times being set up at the top, with G. Harvey in the BMW, so 3rd in our championship at the moment, posting a 1:59.005. One of our championship contenders, Nick X, still yet to set a time, but certainly 59.005 looks like 58 could be on the cards Extremely fast for Silverstone, especially on console. A nice livery there in the black and white with the white wheels. In fact, if we follow Nick, possibly I thought Nick was just ahead of Nick has just gone 2/10 slower than RGR Harvey there, so all BMW front row as it stands with 9 minutes left in qualifying. So you can see down the track map there, we've got quite a lot of cars out at the moment. There's a fair amount of traffic out on track, hopefully not holding people up too much. Hopefully everyone's managed to find their bit of space in Silverstone. That's one of the good things about the track. It's so big and long, you should be able to give yourself enough space to give yourself enough time to go and get your best possible lap in. So Harvey now coming through Woodcut up to the line. Will he improve on his 1:59.005? Seemingly not. He's followed Nick for a while. He's coming down into Brooklands. Can he go faster and take provisional pole? Quite deep there through Brooklands. That would probably cost him time not being in the middle of the track there going into Luffield. Using all of the curb on the exit there, and using as much curb as he can through Woodcott, crossing the line, and he does go faster. 1:58.8. It's an excellent time. Goes 1.1 and a bit tenth faster than Harvey before returning to the pits. So Harvey just exiting the pits as well, possibly after some new rubber. And running third at the moment is Bentley. Bentley's great round Silverstone, just because it can handle all the curbs, is Missile Dogshaft. Lots of people have got their own names listed now on PS5. I don't think Missile Dogshaft is his real name, so we'll just refer to him as Shaft for the rest of the night. So Mr. Knight going into third there, half a second now behind Nick. So Nick X back out on track, Harvey a little bit further up, and Venom Mario has just gone with the 1:58.707, putting the top three all into the 1:58s, and all within 3/10 of one another. And all BMWs, an all BMW front row, and almost an all BMW second row. So Harvey coming around Woodcott now. Will he go faster than his previous time, which I believe was just over 1:59. I've definitely got a 1:58 in him. Possibly still in his out lap though, so that's a bit premature of me to go looking at that. I think Nick's also on his out lap, following Knight down the Wellington Straight there. Let's have a look a bit further down the line. We've got Cablo here in another BMW, running a red number. Was quite new. Got Nikkonen. Apologies, I'm going to butcher your name for the rest of the night. So sorry for that. But Hopefully you'll forgive me. Shadow Lancer in the same livery there as Nick in the same team. Got Anderson, the 888 car of the Mercedes GT, another good car for taking on the curbs. Got Blue Mosquito in his blue Audi, just crossing the line there and turning into cops. Currently running in 13th. Liam, not one of our championship contenders, one of the chaps that's currently on 40 points, neck and neck with Nick, just leading ahead of Harvey. Currently sitting in 14th place for the qualifying at the moment. Porsche, as I was saying a little bit earlier, quite difficult around this track, given that the top speed isn't really there for it. So perhaps he'll be able to make up some of these spaces in the race itself. It's a long race, 1 hour and a half, so plenty of opportunity for overtakes with the Porsche. On to Rin with McLaren. First McLaren we've seen coming down the list there, 15th place. Nesbitt in the blue and black Mercedes, number 242. But Jan van Eyck in the Audi. I believe that's the same as... I don't think that's the same livery as Knight, is it? No, it's not. I think I missed these guys out earlier. Smith in the M Colours BMW. Ozil in another BMW. WTR in the Ferrari sat in the pits at the moment. And Anderson there. 3 minutes left to qualifying. Going back down the list, Hansel in a green McLaren. Ossel in Honda. Captain in the green Audi. Dave's in a white Audi. Fednad, the second Porsche being run in yellow there. Springbok in a bright green BMW. We've got another Macca. Another... what time my name is. What BMW just goes a little bit faster up into 20th position. Gyorfi, we've got Siggy in a BMW. Our very own Chris Gedman running in the Porsche in 27th. And there's me, apparently in a Porsche, and in 28th place running in last. Well, no surprises there. So Nick has posted a time 1 and a bit tenths faster than Mario, so 1:58.562 is exceptionally rapid. And just going back out on the track again. Mario in his bright pink BMW, still thrashing out the track to try and improve. Harvey's out there as well. Shaft back in the pits, and Knight out there trying to improve, and that rounds out our top 5. So with a minute left in qualifying, and Nick just crossing the line there, that will be his final lap in qualifying. Harvey probably will not cross the line either. This could be his last lap, and Harvey has gone now into the 58s as well for sure. Running faster than Mario, who's sat there. Not much between them at all. Doesn't look like Mario's going to he's going to accept his fate, sat in the pits. And Ozil, who has come to make it an all BMW first and second row, is also sat in the pits, clearly happy with his performance, and not going to try and go any faster. Looked like a bit of an upset there for Nick, just as he's coming round Luffield there. Looked like a little bit of a kick out, and he does not go faster, so that it might have enough time to get another one in. So one more lap for Nick. So Harvey must go faster, coming down the Wellington straight now, A great view there. You can see some of the cars heading down the hangar straight in the background. As he turns into Brooklands, keeps it tight for Luffield. Wide turn in, trail braking, very technical corner. Need to get on the power early, but don't let it step, and then you've got all the curb to use as you come round into Woodcote. So it's heading towards the line. Harvey crosses the line no faster. So that'll be his final time. And going back to Nick, who really only playing for pride at this point. Probably isn't aware, but no one else is really out there trying to contest, unless there's any surprises from further down, like Knight and Liam. While they're there, I will say Liam done very well, the Porsche, to bring it within a second of the leaders there. Currently sat in 7th place and still out, coming around Luffield, looking to improve on his time. Nick there coming down to the Wellington Straight now through Aintree. So as Liam crosses the line, he goes 5th fastest. So in the Porsche, sat just into the 159s. That's an excellent time from Liam, and certainly keeps him in the running for the championship to start that far up. As our qualifying leader Nick rounds the final corner through Woodcote now, and to cross the line, will he go fastest? Only pride to play for here, and he keeps his time. So we've got next from Harvey, Mario and Uzil. The first 2 rows all locked out by BMWs, followed by Liam Knott in the Porsche, currently tied on points with Nick in the championship. Harvey running 3rd in the championship as it stands. 6th, we've got Missile Dogshaft in the Bentley, who's done very well to put up there. Knight running an Audi, Blue Mosquito in the Audi as well. Smith, W2R, Anderson. So sorry, actually, I think the first 8 all within a second, and then up until 17th, all within 2 seconds of the front. So it should be a relatively close field, this, but it is an hour and a half race. Lots of things can go wrong in that length of time, unfortunately, and it's all going to be about consistency. We've got a dry track at least, so let's hope that it stays the same, being that it's winter, weather could be anything. Hopefully this will stay the same going into the race. So looking at the sectors here, with Liam putting in a best 2nd sector. A 49.74, and that goes to show just how quick the Porsche is when it gets to go around some corners, with the BMWs putting in the fastest sector 1 and sector 3, where we have the long straights. Nick, quite interestingly, only very barely going a little bit slower than the best times that have been put in for the sector times, but still rounding out with 1st place. So looking down for resident Mr. Gedman, for a man that throws himself almost every race that FRL has, sometimes with little to no practice, for the amount of extra work and effort he puts into FRL. He is sat in 24th, putting in a good time, being that he only joined at the last second. So 3 minutes now until race start, with all the BMWs at the front, as everyone will prep their setups for the race. I, along with everyone, will be hoping for a nice clean start. But the danger is, at the beginning of this, is cops. Sometimes some tracks are quite dangerous because of the hard braking into turn 1. But here at Silverstone, our big problem is just how fast turn 1 is. And with everyone being at lower than normal race speed getting up to it, because we'll have a rolling start, we will see everyone absolutely pinning the throttle through turn 1. And then, through some more technical and fast stages, with Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, there is plenty of room for incident. So the question will be if they can keep it clean through the first corner.
This is the epic outline of Silverstone, opened in 1948, changed from time to time over the years, but still the essence of its place is that it's a circuit built on a perimeter road of a World War II fighter station, and as you can see, there is a lot of flow around the outside of the circuit with some incredible sectors. Sector 1, wonderful twist halfway through Maggots and Beckett, down on the long Hanger straight, and then you go to Sector 2,
So just seen the message in the YouTube chat there, AMR Vantage asking for top 3 predictions. It's very difficult to say over 1 hour 30, and as we're saying with just how difficult the first couple of corners can be at Silverstone. It can be very heavy on the tyres, so consistency and looking after your tyres is going to be absolutely key. Of course, we've got Nick, who's been putting in some absolutely fantastic times there, and as has Harvey, has been consistent throughout the last couple of races. Liam, not in the Porsche, incredible to get into 5th. I think he's probably not going to get into the top 3 unless something happens to some of the BMWs ahead. He's been exceptionally rapid, but over 1 hour and 30, I think the pace of the Porsche will suffer somewhat. But I do think he's going to finish in a very respectable position, which will keep him in the runnings for the championship going forward. Predictions now as we're getting underway. I'll say Nick X P1, Harvey P2, and I'm going to go with an outlier, and purely because the name is fantastic. I'd love to see Missile Dogshaft up on P3 or a podium position. That'll be great. So we'll see Nick, Harvey and Missile Dogshaft. But absolutely, Mario and Oozle87 there, more BMWs. The car to pick at the moment, it seems. We'll definitely have something to say about that. Great question, thank you, Vantage. As we run through the initial guided laps, single files, everyone trying to warm their tyres, get a bit of heat into the carcasses, that sort of thing. And people slamming on the brakes, unfortunately, or weaving or holding the brakes, trying to... you got Liam there just going straight, just like Kimi Räikkönen and everyone else weaving. Oh, okay, he's decided to join in now. He's decided that maybe some warm tyres will help him out after all. But always love to see one car just driving straight while everyone else is weaving like their lives depended on it. So I think probably when we've got fast guys at the front, it's best to follow sort of second or third, because you get a bit of a glimpse of everyone that way as they go through the first couple of corners. And what I'll do is that as the race starts, it'll be quite frantic, moving up and down, checking on everyone and making sure that everyone's okay, seeing if there are any major incidents, that sort of thing. And then who we watch and for how long will sort of spread out a bit over time as the pack spreads out as well. So coming down what you'd know as the Formula 1 grid starts on the Hamilton Straights on the newer part of Silverstone, which has been recently improved. And then turning now into Abbey, going to be another fast corner which absolutely kills the front left tyre for those that are going to be taking it flat, and can really upset. And if you go straight on there, not in a manner that poor old Guan Yu Zhao did last season in Formula 1, but if you were to go straight on there, you're going to lose a bunch of time with gravel traps and everything before getting back on. Big overtaking possibilities there into Village. Big hard braking zone, but if you don't make it stick, then the person will probably be able to attack you back through the loop. But then if you're battling through there, you're going to let the cars ahead get away, because slow exit speed out of the loop means slow speed down Wellington Straight, and they will pull away. So it's a trade-off as they come down now towards Brooklands. The race is about to get underway with only a couple more turns before we get into our rolling start. As I'm sure a lot of the drivers at the front now, a few nerves will start to take hold, trying to work out exactly what it is they're going to do into turn one, how are they going to keep it clean, how they're going to react, is there any escape? That's always a possibility. To avoid incident is just to escape off the track and live to fight another day. It's an hour and a half. There is a lot of race ahead. No race can be won in the first corner, but it all can be lost. So we'll sit here with Harvey, so we should get a good view of the first couple of rows of the pack as they go through Copse. As they come through Woodcut now, approaching the start-finish straight and waiting for the green lights. As the first couple of cars floor away from the line, Harvey gets a great start off of the green light there and takes first position into Copse. As we'll just move down the field here and make sure it's all being clean. Looks so good so far. Harvey with a tremendous start off the line there, and looking clean down the pecking order. Looking up the back of the grid there, all clean through Max and Beckers, which is excellent to see. And we've got Harvey now running in P1, Nick following him. Just a little bit slow off of the green light there, it looked like, as there's jostling for position up the Hanger Straight. Looking at Liam Knott there, trying to move onto Knight. Knight, who's passed him with the Audi in the first couple of corners. And looks like Liam tries a brave move down the inside of Stowe. Will he make it stick? He does. That is absolutely fantastic work there, as we all use a bit of extra curve to get around the cars. So, a little bit deep there, very difficult now through Club to keep it clean. This is where we might expect there to be a few knocks, but looking down the field, we're looking pretty good, guys. That's fantastic. Good to see a nice clean start. A few cars going wide, but wide is better than crashed, of course. As our gaggle of cars now with Knights just waiting for all the standings to update. It takes a little bit of time. Liam has done very well, pushed himself, I think, up into P4, if I'm not mistaken, as we only have a couple of cars up ahead. Yep, so Harvey still holding to P1, Nick following close behind. Harvey with that fantastic bolt off of the line there. Great reactions with the green flag. So into Menard, then Liam, Missile Dogshaft running in the BMW, Knight in the Audi, Smith running in the BMW there, Blue Mosquito in the Audi, WTAR 76 in his Ferrari. And go back to the leaders as they cross now through Woodcut. And nothing between them. And Nick's really caught up into the back of Harvey here. It's likely going to try and retake his lead as soon as possible. And these two leaders, actually, Harvey and Nick, are already looking at the track map down the bottom right. If I use this little thing there, make it bigger, you can see that the leaders are already getting out a big lead on the rest. So there's already a corner between Harvey and Nick before you get to Mario coming through Chapel there. Already starting to pick out a lead. So Nick not quite capitalising on through Magus and Beckett's to get enough speed to really challenge Harvey into Stowe there. Mario sitting relatively comfortably ahead of Liam. Liam doing fantastic at that fantastic move into Stowe in the last corner, the last lap, sorry, as he leads from Knight, who got ahead of him on the start. Smith following closely, Mosquito following closely. Looking down the timings here, we've got everyone following quite closely behind as the pack stays quite close. So onto the Hamilton straights, Nick still following very close on the bumper to how we got a stop and go penalty for car number 909, which is Mr. Nikkonen for speeding in the pit lane. Not sure why he was in the pit lane. Maybe he went for an early pit stop to get into some clean air and put in some good laps. It's a pretty valid technique, but not if you're going to speed in the pit lane, unfortunately. So now half a second between Nick and Harvey. Nick all over the back of him, and another stop-go penalty for car number 78. 78 Uzil, who was one of our top 4 runners, has cleaned on an early pit stop, looking for a similar strategy, has earned himself a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So one of our top 4 is going to be dropping down the pecking order. It's going to be hard work for him to claw that back. 4 seconds now between Mario, who is running in 3rd on the starting grid, and our leaders Harvey and Nick, who are running within a second of each other. Nick following very closely behind, not looking to make any moves yet. This could be a long war of attrition between these two to see who comes out on top. Liam holding it within a second, but he is being challenged. We've got Jay Smith, who's managed to get past the Audi of Knight at some point, and is now challenging that Porsche and is looking threatening for the hanger straight here. Apologies, I'm going to get rid of the bit of a better view. So will he go for a move into Stowe? Liam not holding that inside line and not letting it. It will be slower here, and now it will be a case of who is going to brake later, going through Vale and into Club. We have Smith holding the outside. Will he hold the inside? He's holding the inside, but he has to back out as they go through Club and onto the Hamilton straights. Very, very close race, very clean. Great work, nice to see. Quick back look at the leaders. We've got Nick, who seems to all get his time back through Sector 2 against Harvey, and we'll see how they get on. That looks like a move through loop that I just took a word away from. So that's going to slow Nick down, going down the Wellington straight. Might lose a little bit of time, but he did get a new nose in on loop there into Aintree, and actually is right on the bumper there. It doesn't look like he's going for a move into Brooklands. Looks like he's just going to follow again and try and work out where exactly he can make up the time. So now we've got a few distinct groups going through the pack. So after the leaders, we've got Mario leading this pack from Liam, Smith, Knight, Blue Mosquito, WTR76 and Anderson at the back, as Cablo, Rin, Shadow Lancer make their way through Luffield, and then we've got some people bringing them another stop go that has been cleared by Nikkonen. Nikkonen coming out of the pits just ahead of the leaders. So be interested to see how that works. It'll be under blue flags, but in the regulations there is no real need to let them by. In fact, no. I think the Audi is actually ahead of the BMW of Mario, who is flashing his headlights for the Audi to move over. Looks like Liam once again taking the inside line here, blocking Smith from a move. And once again, Smith trying it through Club. It looks like he's going to make it stick onto the Hamilton straight. They're going to go side by side, and he backs out and lets the Porsche push on through. Half a second still between our leaders up at the front. The battle here really is Liam and Smith, who are having some absolutely massive tussles between the two of them, and a few cars behind. Going back and giving some of the cars a bit further back a bit of love. We do have some close battles with Springbok Gamer and Chris Gedman looking close as BMW. Is that a BMW? Sorry, I'm not sure. There's a car ahead there that looks very damaged. Not sure where he is on the standings, that car, but it looked damaged to me. Harvey still leading Nick by almost nothing. These guys are being so consistent, and yet they're still pulling away from the cars behind. Now 9 seconds adrift from the pack. Truly exceptional driving from these two. Mario leading Liam. So Knight has taken a place off of Smith. Unfortunately, we missed that. So Knight has taken the place from Smith there, and is now chasing down the Porsche. What can Knight do going down onto the Hamilton straight? Does he have the speed? And will Liam defend on the inside again? So Liam not really to take a defensive move there, but Knight is being challenged by Smith, who will probably try some late braking down into club if he can. Looks like it's going to stay just behind. But Knight there looks like a big moment for Knight. It looks like he flicks out of the way, and Smith has taken advantage of that and gone through, and Knight being pressured by WR76 in the Ferrari. So we are now 4 laps into this race, guys, and I have to say there's still a lot of action going on, a lot of close racing with only 10 minutes into this 1 hour 30 race. So just looking down the order again just to see where the battles are happening. Springbok and Gedman look like they're going hard. Gedman there throwing the Porsche into Village, and holding Springbok behind him as he goes into the loop. But Springbok right on the backside there of Gedman as they almost touch. And Springbok does very well to back out of that, but is now being challenged by Ossel in the Honda down the Wellington Straight. Well, that Honda looked like it's going for a move into Brooklands, actually. Will he make it stick? Not quite. He showed a nose just to let Springbok know he's there. And Honda's taken what I would consider to be the better line through Luffield, but it all depends on how you get the power on the drive out. And that BMW does pick up the power very quickly, and it looks like it's already gained a car length on top of the Honda there. So back with our leaders running down the Hangar Straight now. As they go in towards Stowe. Still nothing between them, but Nick is looking very, very close at the moment. Not sure he'd go for a move now into club, as it's quite a high risk zone with those large curbs to make a move stick. And he just seems content just to sit behind and continue. They're now both 10.5 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. So realistically, strategy-wise for pitting, that could be where this is won and lost. Whose pit is more accurate? But Nick is right on the bumper of Harvey now, going into the big overtaking chances of Village, and they're taking slightly different lines there. So who is going to get the drive out on the loop? They're looking like they've got a similar speed at the moment. It looks like Nick was going to have a bit of a speed differential. We'll have to see as they approach Brooklands. Brooklands, of course, you can get your nose in, but it's very difficult to scrub the speed. But it looks like he is showing a nose at the very least. But currently, no position changes between the front two, Harvey and Nick. It looked like Nick there was just going to show the inside of his nose through Luffield, which would have been brave. But now they come out of Luffield and through Woodcott, and Nick still on the backside, still pressuring Harvey. But Harvey seems pretty cool under pressure. Taking the right sort of lines, not making the mistakes, not getting bullied into making an unforced error as they pass through Copse. Not a lot between them. 11 seconds ahead now, so going back to these battles further down with Liam, who's still following Mario very well, and they've got Smith and Knight, but Liam looks like he's managed to take a move through Max and Beckett. Mario there way off to the right. I wonder if he went off slightly, but Liam there moves up into position 3, which keeps this championship very close together. The top 3 in the championship at the moment: Harvey, Nick and Liam. Not necessarily in that order at the moment. I've got Liam and Nick are neck and neck for the championship. Liam taking this inside line against Smith to defend him again, but Smith has been putting a nose up through Club each time they've come round, and looks like he wanted maybe the inside there, but he's going to see what he takes as they come through Club now, but Smith not in a position, it seems, to quite stick a nose up the inside of Liam. So apologies, back to the championship standings. Liam running in joint first with Nick at 40 points, followed by Harvey. So Nick and Liam on 40 points, and Harvey is sat currently on 38. So it's absolutely nothing between the three, who are now leading this race once again. My prediction of Missile Dogshaft coming in a third podium position, well, he's taken an early pit and is currently rounding Luffield in some clean air, probably hoping to put in some good lap times. Now, speaking of lap times, we'll have a quick look at the timetables and see what we're doing in the race. Well, that's not actually going to give us our individual lap times, is it? That's probably stupid of me. Right. So, Smith, 2/10 behind Liam. Coming round Luffield now into Woodcott. And, well, this two seem to be pulling away. In fact, WTR also ahead of Mario. Mario dropping down the standings now into 6th and under pressure from Blue Mosquito. Not far behind that, Shadowlancer under pressure from Rin. Knight has really dropped back. He must have had a bit of an upset somewhere, which we've missed as he takes to the grass there in a slightly unusual tactic, possibly filling with setup changes for the pits, but that was quite a ways off the grass. Audi of Captain following that. Hi, my name was Watts in the Bentley. As who's gone off track there? That's possibly someone on blue flags just trying to dive out of the way of people. It wasn't someone I recognised imminently. So Smith has managed to get past Liam, likely through Club. Apologies we missed it, but that's probably where the move was done, as Smith has been threatening to pass Liam through those corners for a few times now. Liam not getting back on him into Village just yet. Keeping a tentative eye on our leaders. I don't want to miss a position change up at the top here. These guys are now 15 minutes into this hour and 30 race. They've done 7 laps, so about to start their 8th, and there's still only 3/10 between them. Absolutely neck and neck, and 16 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. So pit stop here. So there's going to be 30 seconds to change your tyres and take whatever fuel that you would like. Apologies for that message. And take whatever fuel it is that you want. And probably about 10-15 seconds either side. So you're probably looking at around 45 to 55 seconds for a pit stop. So with that in mind, think about where they would fall. They would, if they were to pit now, which I'm not saying they would, I imagine it'll probably be another 50 minutes at least before anyone pits, with 2 pit stops to accomplish this race. It looks like there's a driver off again down at Maggots and Beckett's. But it would certainly put them still back into the pack. They haven't got that much of a lead, as they actually close in now on Missile Dogshaft, who was rounding out the top 6, who went for an early pit, but such is the pace of these guys. What is the times that they're putting in? Let's go into the time. So I'd love to tell you what times these guys are doing. Unfortunately, if I click drive and go onto individual drivers, it can really screw up the camera controls, and we don't get the sort of the dramatic footage that we see here, and we'll be locked into to the normal driver cameras, and it also becomes a bit of a faff to change driver as well. So apologies for that. Jamie Boy 564 is asking, are we streaming tier 3 tonight? I don't think we're streaming tier 3. I think we've just got tier 1 and tier 2 with comms and streams. Yellow flag further down the track. I'm going to try and work out who that is. Somewhere around here there's someone with a yellow flag on them. Now I'm not sure if we've lost drivers. I thought we started with more, but I'm thinking we've lost some people along the way. Right, Nick looks like he's dropped back a little bit there, back to 7 tenths, but still certainly within striking distance. Smith, WTR, where is Liam? Liam is still running, but Liam has dropped right down. Liam looks like he's carrying damage to the front of his Porsche. That is not a good sign at all. So something's happened there. I'm not exactly sure what. Apologies to have missed it. But Liam definitely carrying damage and has dropped down the standings. So Smith and W2R running in 3rd and 4th respectively, followed by Blue Mosquito and Mario Shadow Lancer and Rin there in their battle that they've been following for a long time. And there's Liam, fortunately dropping to 9th after starting such a promising 5th. It looked like he was going to amazing to get up to 3rd very early on in the race. Now has taken damage, which for the Porsche is not good news, being that it doesn't have a huge amount of downforce at the best of times, and damage to the front splitter, and that can cause be quite difficult and handle quite differently. So hopefully he manages that well, and maybe he'll go for repairs. It's an hour and a half in the race, a lot can happen still. So it would be a good idea to get that actually fixed and just take the hit on however much time that's going to cost him, and be better to just take a healthy car back out onto track. So Nick is now drifting by a second from Harvey. So that's probably the biggest gap they've had between them since the first lap, when Harvey got the shot off from second place and got away into first corner early. We've got Captain further down in the Audi pitting. Always good to watch, see how they get on with the pits, see how accurate they are, see if there needs to be any correction before they go up on the jacks. Maybe a bit of a delay there, or maybe it's not going to show the full detail of them being worked on. Still a second there now between Nick and Harvey, but not as close as they were before. Smith got a second almost between him and WTR 76, and then 2 seconds to Blue Mosquito, 2 seconds to Mario. It's opening up a bit now. 3 seconds to Shadow Lancer, 1 and a bit seconds to Rin. Stop and go penalty for G Captain for speeding in the pit lane. So that's our third out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pits. 3 of them have picked up a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So yeah, keep your limiter on, folks, and it'll stop that, or make sure you brake in time. A lot of people will practice their race pace, their race fuel loads, race tyres, and degradation, that sort of thing, through free practice or long before the race, to make sure it's perfect. But something that I think some people neglect to practice is pit stops. Entering the pits, braking at the last possible moment and putting the pit limiter on and hitting your markers perfectly and coming to a stop so that you get lifted straight away, no repositioning of the car, and then as soon as you get dropped, you're immediately away with your pit limiter on so that you don't exceed the speed limit, and dumping the pit limiter off as soon as you hit that white line on the exit of the pits. That can be the be-all and end-all in winning and gaining positions. in racing. It's very difficult to get pit stops perfectly, but if you practice them at each different track, so you know the latest braking points for your entry, you can overtake people in the pits quite easily. But it's not something we see many people practice. So as the grid opens up going down here, we've seen Harvey and Nick going at it toe to toe for 11 laps now, with nothing between them. But what was a big pack has now spread out, and the closest we've got is Shadow Lancer still being pressured by Rin, and another stop go. No, that's just 2 laps remaining for Captain. So he's elected not to do a stop go this lap. He's going to keep his tyres warm, get a bit more heat into them, I think. Coming down, Hansel carrying a lot of damage on that Macca, following My Name Is What through Club and onto the Hamilton straight. So there's a gaggle of 3 here, or 4 even if you include that Ferrari at the back. That BMW also looking like he wants to do something, and coming into Village we might very well see a big overtaking move. That Macca is really looking like he wants to try something, but slips in behind the Bentley, and the BMW not doing anything too rash just yet. Looks like whatever happens in front he wants to try and pick up the crumbs. Looks like a move being tried into Brooklands on the Bentley, and that looks like it could stick. Manages to tidy up the McLaren just in time and stays ahead of the Bentley. The BMW doesn't capitalise on anything there, but that McLaren carrying a bit of damage of Hansel now making its way through Woodcote onto the start-finish straight. So Nick, once again, this is the furthest behind we've seen him yet, nearly 1.6 seconds from Harvey. Amazing racing from the both of them, super consistent and really quick. It seems at the moment that Harvey is just managing to keep that race pace that bit more consistent and sit up at the top spot, and is probably feeling the pressure has just relieved a little bit, but his rear view mirror still has black and orange BMW filling it of car 89. Looking at WCR 76 right on the bumper of Mario there. So still hasn't cleared his stop-go, Captain. 1 lap remaining to do it. He's hoping he does, otherwise he's going to pick up an even bigger penalty, which we wouldn't want to see. So Springbok Gamer, here's another gaggle of cars. Got Springbok Gamer behind Ossel with Jan van Eyck and Gjorfi. Oh, a big incident there between the McLaren and the Audi of Jan van Eyck. Jan van Eyck rejoins the track, and the McLaren does okay, but it looks like they touched going into Stowe. They're both carrying damage. Gedman and Fedned looks like they've stood to gain something there. Gedman there carrying a little bit of damage to the front of his Porsche maybe. Just a quick cursory glance, and Nick has entered the pits. So he was losing time to Harvey, and it was down to 1.6 seconds, and with half an hour completed almost, he's decided now is the time to pit. The interesting thing now will be, where does Nick come out, and what will he have to do to get into some clean air to start putting on some lap times. Of course, a consideration I hadn't really talked about is, of course, tyre degradation. Is Harvey running a setup which allows him to look after the tyres that bit better than Nick? And is that why Nick was dropping off a little bit of the pace? So Captain, I would hope, is rounding Brooklands now. Another stop-go for car 89. That is a stop-go penalty for Nick. Oh God, that is going to really be tough. So a stop-go penalty for Nick there for speeding in the pit lane. Who else? We're picking them up left, right, and centre. A stop-go penalty for Knight for speeding into the pit lane. This all must be surely on the entry. I would have thought Captain there in there to serve a stop-go. So tonight we have stop-go penalties left, right, and centre, Provisional second now, Jay Smith in the BMW. He might not realise it, but he stands to possibly gain a position here, with Nick going to have to go into the pits again within the next 3 laps. Wow, that is really quite disappointing. It was going to be really quite close to see where Nick came out, how he would get through. It looks like he's in clean air, so it would have been great for him to really build up pace again. And then once Harvey had pitted, to see where they were, really be able to compare who pitted better. But with a stop-go penalty, unless Harvey does the same, which I hope he doesn't, then unfortunately Nick is going to really struggle to regain those positions. But he's got such fantastic pace. With an hour left to go in the race, there is a chance that he could regain that second position. So the stop-go penalty for captain has been cleared. I don't think Knight is continuing. He's got a stop-go penalty, staying in the pits. He's been there for some time. Hopefully that's not a retirement, because that would be a shame. And that is Jay Smith and WCR 76 into the pits, just behind there. So Blue Mosquito picking up provisional second, followed by Mario, neither of whom have pitted yet, and Harvey still yet to pit. So 2 laps remaining for car 89. That is our joint championship leader Nick. Still 2 laps to go to clear his stop go. So Harvey there sitting 30 seconds clear of Mosquito, with everyone still having to pit. So he's commanding lead there as he rounds out the loop, coming down towards Aintree in the Wellington Straight, with not a lot of traffic around him at all. So Nick there, unfortunately picking up his stop go, and we'll see if there are any battles really going on track. Who's closest to who? There's lots of people in the pits now. Going into the pits always spreads the pack out a little bit, and now we'll have a little bit of little less constant action, and I can take a break from talking, and you can take a break from listening to me speak. So we are really spread out now. It looks like the closest we have is Anderson here in the McLaren, following Chris Gedman in the Porsche number 79, and the Merc. I say McLaren, the Merc of 888, following Chris here round Club and off to Hamilton Straight. So it's worth reminding that we do have drop rounds in our Taco Tuesday series at the moment. So drop rounds meaning that your worst finishing position is discounted from the points. So your worst finishing position could be a DNF, or even a DNS, did not start. So if you have to miss a particular round, it doesn't spoil your chances in the race. So 1 lap remaining for Nick there to complete a stop go. So Nick, who's been performing very well, I believe, in race 1. I think he came 4th. I'd have to check. Oh, there's Chris there, just goes into a little bit of dirt and lets the Merc through of Anderson. So yeah, Chris flashing there. Pretty standard for him, to be honest. Yeah, so drop rounds. Apologies, getting distracted by the action on track. So the drop rounds. So I believe Nick's first finish was 4th, and his second finish 1st. He won the last race at Suzuka. So as it stands, with only 2 races completed, his worst finish was 4th. So that's discounted from the points. So his the only points he has is 40, which is what he got for winning the race. However, with this one, if he were to stay where he is 6th, then he would have the points of 4th place and 1st place, and his 6th placed finish would not count towards his standing. So you can either have 1 missed race, you can have 1 bad race, and it tidies it up a little bit if you get involved in an unfair incident or collision. That won't go towards your points. So it's out of all the rounds, it's everyone's best. So I think if I'll double check on the amount of rounds that we have in Taco Tuesday, So we have 10 rounds in Taco Tuesday. So effectively, it's your best 9 races out of the 10 rounds that are going to be counted towards your championship standings. SimGrid works this out automatically for us, which is nice and easy. As I think Mosquito there gets past the Porsche of Fednat, and Mario does the same. Fednat logs on the blue flag. So there is Nick. Real shame, actually, coming in now for a stop-go penalty. 30 seconds where nothing can be done to the car. You cannot do anything to it. So, do we have another retirement here? WTR76, who was running quite high up, has been sat in the pits a long time, along with Knight and Uzil, who have all seemingly retired from the race. And we are losing people. Someone has also quit, so we've got some drivers losing. WTR now moving. Hopefully, he's walked back to the pits again. Hopefully everything's okay, and he'll get continuing. As we just have a quick look at Jan van Eck there, making a bit of a mistake going through Magnus and Beckett's, easily done if the car's upset. I think it was Jan van Eck that got into a bit of trouble earlier, but he could have also just been obeying blue flags there. Best not to leave the track if we're obeying blue flags, because it'd be quite distracting for other drivers. So stop go cleared for Nick, who is now where? Blind, there we are. So Nick's there, come out in 12th position, and Nick is right behind. Is he managed to come out right behind Harvey, or has Harvey got a teammate that I haven't noticed? So yeah, so of all places, Nick has come right behind Harvey, and is now going to get right on his bumper again, albeit, unfortunately, a couple of laps behind, and Harvey still to pit. So the two BMWs, as Nick gets past the BMW, I believe, the Bentley, sorry, I believe of Hi My Name Is, and continues back on the bumper of Harvey after one pit stop and one stop-go penalty. So unsure as to whether Harvey will really be aware of that it's been a stop-go penalty as well. But if he's not, then it may feel like he's under some serious pressure for someone to pit and then be that close behind him again. Hopefully it worked out. So Liam now in the pits, sat in 4th position, possibly repairing his Porsche to get back out there again. Ossel in the Honda now running in 5th. Nasbit in the blue McLaren in 6th. Anderson following quite close behind Smith here. We'll see if he can do anything with that. Harvey still running ahead of Nick and not letting him by as they approach bright green BMW. I wish I could remember who that is, but there's so many BMWs in these nowadays, it's difficult to remember who is who. Springbok Gamer looks like. Springbok going to be showing blue flags for Harvey, but might not realise that the following BMW of Nick you would not have to yield to on track, I don't believe. Nick is actually battling Springbok here, even though he is currently sat behind Harvey and making the most of his slipstream. So you've got the leader of our race, RGR Harvey, and who was second for a long time and who qualified in pole, Nick, who's now running in net 13th due to a pit stop where he sped in the bits and picked up a stop-go penalty. But Nick is actually fighting Springbok just ahead in the bright green BMW. There will be blue flags being shown. There is no real requirement to get out of the way. It will be up to Harvey to pass safely, which it looks like he's going to try and do into Village here. And I'm sure Nick will try and be cheeky there and get round, and he does. I'm not sure Springbok realises, but they those two are at the same place of track and through Aintree. That was very close, but Nick gets ahead and with the pace of him, he'll likely keep that position. So Nesbitt has caught up with Ossel here. Our friend Gedmin going to the pits, always good to see. Chris out in a race. I wonder if he'll do a bit of repairs to his Porsche, as it looks like he's picked up a little bit. So back to Nesbitt and seeing what he can do on the Honda, going down the hangar straight towards Stowe. Taking a wide line, the Honda defending the inside. The Mercedes looking to see if he can get a bit of speed differential on him, going down through Vale and into Club, and they're side by side there. Will the Mercedes show a nose up the inside of Club here? Oh, they touch. That's unfortunate. And he continues on. Difficult to tell whose fault that was, but he doesn't return the position if it was Nesbitt's. But unfortunately, that means for Ossel, who now comes onto the Hamilton straight, he's dropped a number of positions back after that. That contact through Club. Always difficult to get the contact right going through chicane, and it looks like those guys got it wrong there. Difficult to say what happened with that camera angle, but with FRL we have the ticketing system, so you can submit footage of any incidents that happen into the ticketing system, and the stewards will review and make a decision on any penalty if required, or as to whether or not something might just be a racing incident. So Harvey now with 2 pit stops to do, and has done an hour. Sorry, that's wishful thinking for me. Has done 40 minutes of this race so far, and has Nick right up his chuff, but not really putting him under pressure because Nick is net 11th on the track in comparison, with Harvey still running in first. He could quite easily, if he wanted to, just let Nick sail on by, and he still wouldn't be in much threat. But whether he knows that or not is another matter. So still sat in the pits is Ozil and Knight. Nesbitt looks like he's just coming into the pits there for. I'm not sure quite sure how ACC counts it. I'm looking at the figure 1 there. I'm not sure that this is his second or his first pit stop, but he's in the pits there. And Ossel is now running Chapel out of the Haggard Straight, so is on track at least, taking up his position back against Nesbitt. So still with 2 pit stops to take at the moment. Mario following Blue Mosquito quite closely through Luffield as they make their way towards the pit straight. And car number 420 also in the pits, Darren Mark Davis. Good to see him out and racing as well. Sat in position 13th at the moment with all his pits done. So Darren and Nesbitt, who are both completed, and I think they are the first. Is that Harvey coming out of the... That is Harvey coming out of the pits as well. So he comes out of the pits just behind Darren Mark. They're not fighting each other, and Darren's a bit of an old hand at FRLACC, and he knows where he is on track. He's not going to contest that, and he'll let Harvey sail on through. Not his fight. So Harvey comes out in third. So Mosquito and Mario still to pit as they go through Club. And to give you an idea, they've got to have to pit. And Harvey actually rounding Stowe, so he's not far behind them, even after a pit stop. So making our way down, Ossel in the Honda now coming in. Let's see where he comes out in relation to Nesbitt. Nesbitt with both pits done, and Nesbitt also had that contact earlier, so possibly be quite close between them coming out of the pits. But Ossel will still have to perform another pit stop later on in the race. So still with 2 pit stops to go, Mosquito, Mario, Ossel performing his, and that it is, as well as, me at the end, but that means nothing. So with 1 pit stop to go, Harvey, Smith, Anderson, Sigir, Rin, Ossel. Sorry, apologies, Ossel will have one at the end of this. Nick, Springbok. Hi, my name is Watt. Missile. Liam down in 13th in the Porsche. They've still got one to go. Hansel, Captain, Gorfi, Fednad, and Gedman, Cablo, and Eck. So the only people who are now going to the end of this race are Darren Mark, Nesbitt, who Tokyo drifts his way through maggots there, well held and well recovered, and those are the only two on track. So you could, all things being equal, looking at where they are now and the time differences, Darren stands to gain a few positions on probably the next three above him, who still have another pit, and Nesbitt much the same, probably going to gain possibly up to 5 positions up into the top 10 if he's lucky with people's pits. So back with our race leader Harvey, sitting down on the hangar straight. Blue Mosquito into the pits then, as Harvey has obviously passed him on track quite a while ago, as Blue Mosquito pulls out. Always good to see where people come out. Looks like there might be a gaggle of cars in a similar position as Mosquito comes out of the pits here, as BMW and the McLaren there of Rin come through the Magnus and Beckett's section and onwards to Chapel. So provisional first at the moment, Mario with 2 pit stops yet to go, 45 minutes, so we are halfway through this race with 2 pit stops to go. So he's made his tyres last 45 minutes, but they're probably not going to last much longer the way that everyone's pushing these, and with 2 pit stops to go, does he dive into the pits now with half this race completed? Is he trying to finish on as fresh rubber as possible at the end?
We are at the halfway mark, still a long way to go.
Just looking at the battle here between Blue Mosquito just ahead, but then Sigge and Rin, as Rin all over the back of that BMW. As the BMW pulls away into the pits and denies us the chance of watching a bit of a battle, and Rin continues onwards behind Blue Mosquito into a bit of clearer air. So everyone's fairly spread out at the moment. The 2 Bentleys have managed to find each other on track somehow, as Missile Dogshaft and Hi, my name is What. 2 interesting names in the Bentleys, running around, both fighting for position there, with both with 1 pit stop left to do. My prediction of Missile Dogshaft coming in 3rd. What was my prediction? My prediction was Nick, Harvey, Missile Dogshaft, and it's way off, isn't it? Absolutely way off for Vantage. You asked for a top 3 prediction. Well, you know, I never profess to actually know what I'm talking about. I'm just sat here in my living room with a large glass of water to stop my mouth from going dry, just chatting absolute nonsense to whoever will listen. Oh, so Anderson picked up a drive-through penalty. Well, drive-through penalty likely going to be for track limits halfway through this race. So Anderson with a drive-through. No more pit stops to go for Anderson either. So that is possibly going to put him down around Nesbitt. So you've got Sigge following him, and where's Nesbitt gone? Oh, Nesbitt's ahead, is he? Oh, reading that wrong. So yeah, that is not going to be great for Anderson as he goes wide again through Stowe. Anderson with no pit stops left. I've got to make these tyres last 40 minutes. Taking them off-road isn't going to help them, as Harvey now... so Mario's gone into the pits. Our guy on provisional pole as he pulls out now. And the theme of this has been speeding in the pit lane, and hopefully get away with not doing that himself, as Harvey rounds Club onto the Hamilton straight, back into the comfortable lead of this race, followed by the ever-present Chris Gedman in his Porsche. Smith running here in second, which could be a bit of a surprise to him, but surely a welcome one. There was a lot of cars between him and second initially in at the end of qualifying, but he finds himself, after some shrewd manoeuvring and some opportunistic overtakes, he finds himself sat up in second place. So consistency being key, with only one pit stop to go, and looks like he's in very clean air at the moment. Probably feels like quite a lonely race at this point. He's got a long way to go still with 40 minutes. Who has picked up a drive-through, 888? Oh, sorry, that's the drive-through. I was talking stop-go penalty again, but no, that's Anderson, who's gone through the start-finish line and still has his drive-through to perform at some point. Liam Knott completing his final pit stop, sat in 10th. So Liam Knott being our highest driver on the current standings, with all his pit stops completed. Stands to gain places purely by virtue of the other drivers needing to pit stop, and will hopefully, fingers crossed, round out the top 5. But the runaway success so far, with 40 minutes to go, is our race leader, and all things being equal at the end, if the race were to end now, would be our new championship leader as well. Smith there in the BMW. I'll bring up the SimGrid standings. He attempts to dive a little deeper into exactly what we're going to be looking at with the likes of Jay Smith up at the top here. So we're looking at the car number 990 BMW. Jay Smith goes by Discord name Goofy Goof 990. We'll see on the standings. The previous races has finished 3rd and 10th. So he is currently 4th in the championship, and a 2nd place finish would certainly boost him and keep him up in the runnings for sure. So Anderson 88 is running in 5th in the championship, but certainly going to be hurting as across the line, and still with a drive-through to serve. We're looking at possible finish outside of the top 10 for Anderson. But of course, as we were saying about drop rounds, your worst finish does not count. Still chance. Anderson flashing the lights there, not sure if he's got a blue flag driver ahead or what exactly. 6th place in the championship at the moment is Rin. Where is Rin? Currently running a 4th in the McLaren with 1 pit stop to go. That would tumble him down the standings a little bit, but everyone up there has got 1 to go. Out for a good finish is Rin as well. Just watching Anderson at the moment, making sure that there's more light flashing there, which you shouldn't really do. There are some regulations against light flashing. I'm not entirely sure whilst we're weaving down the Wellington Straight. Is it Nesbitt just ahead of him? It is Nesbitt just ahead of him. They are racing on track, but Anderson, of course, has a drive-through to complete. So I'm not entirely sure why he's flashing at him. But there he goes, pulls in for his drive-through penalty. And hopefully gets the speed down in time. It looks like he does. And there's the trademark stuttering of Mercedes going through the pit lane. For anyone that's driven the Mercedes will understand. No idea why it does this, but it jitters all the way along the pit limiter. I'm pretty sure a real Mercedes probably wouldn't do that. Looks like Chris is in the pits there with him as well. Chris putting in his final pit stop. Drive-through cleared for Anderson, and where does he come out? So the chap who's running 5th in the championship at the moment comes out just ahead of Ossel, who is currently running 15th. So that'll put Anderson in 14th place, I would have thought, if everyone on track is in the right place, but sometimes a little tricky to follow. So our leader Harvey, who got lots of screen time at the beginning and is getting less and less so. Apologies for that. But with him being so consistent and smooth and putting in lap after lap after lap of fantastic pace, there really isn't much to watch from Harvey's perspective. How's Nick getting on? Nick, with his stop and go, still got a pit stop to go, has clawed his way back up to 6th. And Liam sat down in 13th at the moment in the Porsche, who's currently joint first in the championship, who did admit that Silverstone was not going to be the one for him to do in the Porsche, as he currently battling with Gyorfi on track. Gyorfi still with a pit stop to do, so isn't really in a fight here, with light flashing from Liam, perhaps urging him to move over and make way, but there is no requirement for him to do that, and Gyorfi leads now into Brooklands, and then on into Luffield. So looking up at where we've got some close battles, we've got Rin bending time and space going through Copse there in his McLaren, closely following Mario. I think these two have been pretty close to one another for a number of laps now, as we've done 27 laps now with 35 minutes to go. White off the pit stop still on the board, so people have been probably looking off their tyres and are hoping to end the race strong with plenty of fresh rubber. So just reading through some of the comments in the Discord at the moment, it seems that unfortunately we've lost some drivers due to game crashes, such as Shadow Lancer no longer with us due to his game crashing, and a couple of others have been kicked out, unfortunately. Always really disappointing when that happens, when you've practiced and put in a lot of hard work for the race, only to be let down by the game itself. But with drop rounds, you know, as we've said, you can't get back the practice and the effort you put in, but it will delete your worst results. So if you fail to finish because you've been disconnected for any reason, then that won't go towards your championship standings. So Missile Dogshaft now is chasing down Springbok Gamer in 8th and 7th respectively, with Springbok just ahead of him and only half a second between them. So big overtaking opportunity coming up after Abbey going into Village. But I would say that's a long way to break at the moment, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a move happen. Now, it needs to be a lot closer than that going into Village to make that move stick, because as we had before, it's imperative you get the loop right, and if you go down the inside around Village, you are going to be on the outside for loop, and if the other guy manages to stay with you, and then it becomes very difficult to maintain your speed down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands. So Nick in for his final pit stop, unlikely to make the same mistake as he made earlier, picking up a stop and go 30-second penalty, which is going to cost him a podium position likely in this race, unless anything else interesting happens in the meantime. So while he's in the pits, we'll go down, have a look at Ossel, who is following Gyorfi quite closely, and both of these guys with a pit still to do, so they are racing on track. Missile is also into the pits along with Nick at the moment, and that Honda is all over the back of that McLaren through into Village, trying a move on the switchback through loop. He's going to have to put him behind the McLaren here. I'd be amazed if he got that move to stick, but he's certainly going for it. Possibly came out of loop a little bit worse than the McLaren, but is making most of the slipstream to stay with him. Not looking on a move into Brooklands, instead going to sit behind the McLaren, follow the line, and we'll see what happens as they go towards Magnets and Beckett's. And the next big obvious overtaking point would be Stowe, but he's actually managed to stick through Luffield as the McLaren pulls into the pits. The Honda is once again in free air, and Ossel completes his final Gyorfi in the McLaren in there to complete his final pit stop, rather than battle it on track with the Honda at the moment. So we've got us to the pits. Missile just leaving the pits now with his Bentley. Our leader Harvey still driving off miles away into the distance, followed by Smith, who looks like he's got a bit of traffic up ahead in the terms of probably Fednad and Missile, but there's blue flags being shown, and I believe Fednad's been pretty good about getting out of the way, and they're coming onto the hangar straight now. Perfect place if you've got blue flags being shown is to simply ease off on the throttle, and it looks like offline as well for Fednad, and you can let the other driver through, which he does with good time before Stowe there, as Smith turns into Stowe and chases down the Bentley of Missile. Rin there running in a surprise third at the moment, all with pit stops yet to do, but there's quite a lot of time running down the next order before we get to Nesbitt, who's completed his. Nick's there, got Chris just behind Nick's, bit of light flashing with the Porsche. That's knowing Chris would be letting Nick through on track, and just a little bit of a friendly wave from him. So Blue Mosquito is in, as well as Springbok. The BMWs and Audis are quite close to one another for some reason. So Smith, no one challenging him. He's got a bit of traffic behind him in the form of Fednad and the Bentley, but otherwise none of that is actually there to challenge his spot for second. Rin quite a ways back on track, just passing through the loop and through Aintree onto the Wellington Straight. Mario actually not too far, saying 6.9 seconds, but as he pulls onto the Wellington Straights, it'll be difficult to catch up there. Mario, unfortunately, looking like he's carrying a lot of damage on the front of that BMW, is going to be slowing his pace down and making that car harder to drive. We're still with a pit stop left to go. He may elect to repair that damage, but with only 28 minutes left in this race, any extra time spent in the pits could definitely cost you, as he stays out and continues with that damage, clearly happy with the controllability of his car and whatever pace it's giving him. Hansel there in the green McLaren, also just passing through Aintree onto the Wellington Straight. So our top five pretty spread out across the track as it stands. Nobody really vying for the top spot against Harvey or already contending any of these top spots at the moment. But certainly it's the pits that could make this come unstuck if anyone picks up an extra stop-go penalty, or has to fix damage, or simply has a bad pit stop. But that's Smith in the pits, who's been overtaken on track by Rin, as Smith pulls out and becomes the highest man on track with the pits, with no pit stops yet to perform. So for Hansel, we then have Nesbitt in the blue McLaren coming down through Copse. Nix rounding Luffield and coming out. So Nix has 10 seconds to gain on Nesbitt. And if we have a look at the qualifying paces, let's see if we can. So Nix there, probably being able to put in 1:59.5s, I would have thought. And Nesbitt's. So possibly a second and a half faster than Nesbitt Nix might be. So we might see Nix catch Nesbitt on track and try and make a push to put himself into the top 6. Still 25 minutes to go. There is time to be made up. So Liam there in 11th, our joint championship leader, currently following Anderson, who had to pick up a drive-through penalty, and Blue Mosquito in the Porsche. So Blue Mosquito in the Audi, Liam in the Porsche. So Liam pushes through Stowe now. I love these races as the day turns into night and we get the headlights on and we see the glowing of the exhausts and the pops of flames there. Really is incredible level of detail that ACC give these car models. It really is a labour of love for Kunos Simulations, the guys that make this. It's absolutely fantastic what they put into it, and the lighting and the reflections. It's just brilliant to watch. So who else we've got? We've got Darren Mark, who's right on the bumper of Springbok Gamer, and Darren Mark using all the curb there. Will he be able to hold his nerve through Abbey, hold the speed, and possibly challenge this going into Village? And it looks like he's not quite there yet. Needs to make up a little bit more time. So who we got in the pits? Rin leaving, as is Mario. So Rin leaving ahead of Mario. Mario looks like he's got his BMW fixed, and they've come out on track ahead of Smith, who I'm not sure if he had a slow pit stop or what, but I was under the impression that Smith was on track for a podium here. A bit mistaken, and I've sort of missed where they managed to get past him. Oh well, there you go. That's I'll take all that back, because Smith is now up into second. It just took a moment for the standings to correct themselves. As Nesbitt there up in 4th, who's just ahead of Rin. So Rin closing on Nesbitt, Mario following Rin there, and Nick behind all of that as well. Nick with the who's been having excellent pace all race, apart from his problems with his drive-through penalties. So the problem here now is the track temperature is now 13 degrees. That's dropped about 6 degrees from what it was when we started. So tyre pressures are going to be a little bit out. Tyres are going to be a little bit cold. Their grip levels will be dropping somewhat, and all this while the car is getting lighter and burning fuel, and the tyres are degrading as well. So changing grip level as we go into the latter stages of this race could keep our drivers, some of whom could starting to be feeling a little bit tired, having been racing for just over an hour and 6 minutes now. The fatigues begin to set in, and mistakes might happen. So now is when our drivers need to be as focused as possible to make it to the end of this race. As our leader Harvey rounds Luffield. Smith is actually quite some way behind him on track. Hansel is running in provisional 3rd, is completing his final pit stop. So we only have our leader Harvey, Hansel and Ossel to complete their pit stops. Nesbitt there, Rin Mario and Nick is the group to watch, I believe. With only 20 minutes left, they'll need to push, but I do foresee some standing changes happening on track between these four. Seca running a bit further back, Anderson and Mosquito running quite closely, Liam just behind them in the Porsche. Is hoping Liam can make his way into the top 10 if he's got the pace advantage against those in front of him. Also running in 12th, but will probably be a provisional 16th maybe, or 15th, with his pit stop yet to come. Springbok, Darren Mark, Missile, who started up quite high, now finds himself in 15th in the Bentley. Captain, who had a stop go 30, Gjorfi, Ferdinand, Cablo, Jan van Eck and Gedman still with a pit stop to go for Chris. As Smith gets past Ferdinand there, Ferdinand being shown the blue flags and moving out the way. It's entirely up to him. He's decided to do it there. It's all done nice and cleanly, and it's good to see. Nesbitt rounding Luffield, not too far behind. Rin running 2 and a bit seconds behind. Venom there. Nick with 6 seconds to catch up to Mario over the next 20 minutes. Now, Mario did qualify in the top 4, so it'll be a tall order if Mario's managing to put in some fast laps here. A tall order to catch up with him at that time. Liam there still running at 1.5 seconds behind Blue Mosquito. That looks closer than 1.5 seconds to me. That's 1.2 now. Russell still with his to complete. I'm not seeing many others who are particularly close on track. It's fairly spread out going down the order with Jan van Eck. Chris Gedman in for his final pit. Which, as it stands, will likely put him in the last on track, but not last in this race, because we did start with, I believe, 29 drivers, and we're now down to 21. Knight and Uzil are doing what they are required to do on the FRL rules, which is to stay in the pits until the end if you're going to retire. The point being is that entering and leaving the server with the race in progress can cause lag spikes, which can be distracting for drivers and send them off. Not only that, but with all the drivers on the grid, one of the things we'd like to see is that grid remain 30 drivers all the way to the end. Even if you're retired and you're sat in the pits, because if you're just going to quit, then another driver or reserve possibly could have taken your place. I know we've had a couple of disconnects, and that's unfortunate. So I believe Shadow Lancer, one of those who's been complaining in the Discord that we have had a disconnect, and he's been unable to get back in, which is a real shame. But Chris Gedman then 21st place out on track. That's quite close. Springbok coming in on to Hansel, that McLaren. He's only 0.3 behind. See what he can make of this as they round Luffield. You've got to think that the BMW, the way that it handles, will probably be able to get the power down a bit sooner than McLaren, and possibly a challenge going into Cops here. But I am just going to have a quick look up top, because we've got Rin and Mario very close to one another. So Springbok looks like is he looking down the inside of Maggots? That would be brave. And we've seen that happen before, but it can be quite exciting when cars try it through there. So Nesbitt, Rin, and Mario and Nick. Nick now 5 seconds behind, so he is making up time. And Nesbitt, Rin, and Mario probably holding each other up here. As they go through Abbey on towards Village. Good overtaking spot here. Nesbitt takes the inside line and blocks anybody from trying to come down the inside, but he might surrender that. So a drive-through penalty for Seca in the BMW. That'll be likely be for track limits. That's a shame, so late in the race to have picked up a track limits problem there. As we go club into the Hamilton Straights. Will we see a move from Springbok on Hansel into Village, which is the most likely place to go? And they're really holding each other up at the moment, Nesbitt, Rin and Mario, as Nick has gained 1.2 seconds this lap on those drivers. No move from Springbok onto Hansel at the moment. Is he going to try and stick a nose into the loop? No, he brakes hard and just follows in behind. So back with this gaggle of drivers who are all very close together now, moving on to Maggotts and Beckett's with it getting dark and cold. This will be extremely difficult to race this close, but it's looking nice and clean. Drive-through, that is still the drive-through for Seca. Nothing new there. As Nesbitt leads them down the Hangar Straight, and the McLaren there of Rin getting out and looking like he's got the drive up into Stowe, but Nesbitt holding on to that inside line. They're side by side as the McLaren goes around the outside, so does Mario, looking to go around the outside at the same time, and goes off track and possibly gains a position off track there against Nesbitt. He almost gets out of sorts. So round the outside of Nesbitt there's the McLaren and the BMW. Not sure if it was all done within track limits though. That's the responsibility of the drivers to raise that issue if they feel that they've lost a position by a car gaining an advantage off track. As Nesbitt will be quite disappointed there from a podium position down to 5th there, as he turns into Village with his exhaust, the side exhaust of the Mercedes glowing there in the dark. Fantastic stuff. Very close racing. No one touched, which is the important thing. And that looks like Nick, who has managed to capitalise on the woes. Last lap he was 3 seconds behind. Now he's right behind Nesbitt. And Nick now with 15 minutes left on the race, you've got to think he's thinking about a podium finish here. You've got to think, can he get in front of Rin and take 3rd position? And be a great recovery drive from if he does. And as he gets into a bit of a slide coming out of Luffield, so it looks like he was possibly on the dirty side of the track there after all this time being used. That part of the track's going to get a little bit dirtier, putting the power down early and getting a little bit out of sorts as he follows Nesbitt now into Copse. So the end of this race has become wide open now with quite a few cars all jostling possibly for 3rd position as they go side by side through Maggotts, side by side through Beckett's, and Nesbitt challenges the Chapel, but Nick has his number and pulls through Chapel ahead as he comes out now onto the Hangar Straight ahead of Nesbitt and chases down Rin and Mario towards Stowe. They've got another stop-go. So it looks like poor Seca in the bronze BMW when he picked up a drive-through for his off-track excursions, track limits, has now sped in the pit lane and picked up a stop-go. So that will push him outside of the top 10. But that will mean that our joint championship leader Liam comes up into 9th position, up into the top 10. I'm sure he would have preferred to finish a bit higher, but I think he did have a bit of an accident early, picked up a bit of damage on the Porsche and drops a few positions early on. So good recovery drive from him to finish into the top 10 if he can. So Mario still within a second there of Rin, still following him. Nick only 2.5 seconds behind. Nesbitt making the most of that tow from Nick up the Wellington Straight and into Brooklands and on to Luffield. So 13 minutes to go. What can Nick do? Can Nick get back into the podium positions and keep himself in the top 3 of this championship? Mario challenging Rin onto the hangar straight. Lights flashing there, possibly a little bit of weaving. Shouldn't really be doing either from these drivers, but they've been racing with each other the whole race, neck and neck, so almost. So we'll leave that benefit of the doubt to them there. 2 laps still remaining for Seca to complete his stop-go. We don't really like to see too much light flashing, and we're not a huge fan of weaving down straights to break the toe either. So you'll find we have quite a comprehensive list of rules at FRL for everyone to follow. Missile Dogshaft they're following Seca, I believe, quite closely, but not going to have to race him because he'll see that he's got a stop-go, and they'll just make way for him at some point. So Nick 2 seconds behind Mario. So what were those qualifying times again? Mario came in third, didn't he? With excellent pace. Nick putting in a 1:58.6 and Mario managing a 1:58.7. Rin, who's holding up all at bay, who put in a 2-minute time in qualifying, but has managed to hold everyone at bay here. So back to looking at our leader, who we haven't looked at for a while. Nick there now up into within 1 second of the cars in front. Very quickly, our leader, our glorious leader, Harvey, down the Wellington Straights. Looks like he's following a Porsche down there with no issues, no one really challenging him. Same with second position, Jay Smith on the hangar straight, having quite a lonely race as well. We'll follow Nick's here. Rin right ahead of Mario possibly looking like he's going to make a move on the McLaren here, right on his bumper. Rin holding the inside line. They did go out there around the outside of Nasbit earlier, and the BMW going around the outside of the McLaren as they go through Stowe there, and who's going to come out ahead? But that is the BMW of Mario going off track again round the outside as they touch going into club, and the McLaren holds the position. The BMW going off track once more, and he might get I think he's just hit the back of the McLaren there and sent the McLaren wide as Nick follows the BMW there of Mario through Abbey. Rin there got touched by the back of the BMW of Mario and got pushed through the exits of club. Mario here looks like he's going off track a little bit and gaining some momentum and I'm pretty sure he gained that speed to bump the McLaren in the back by being off track at club. Unfortunately there for Rin, who's come off much worse there. He's dropped 2 positions. Nick took advantage of it all and followed the pink BMW of Mario straight past Rin. But I will say, absolute hats off to Rin for holding that there and avoiding disaster, because that McLaren looked like it was bumped and was spearing towards the wall, and it looked quite a handful to control. And hitting the wall in the Hamilton Straight would really be the end of a race, especially with only 8 minutes to go. Would have been absolutely awful. So looking down there, Seca still to serve his stop-go, quite spread out amongst the rest of the pack. We'll stick with these podium contenders for the remainder of the race. So looks like someone just got out the way there, possibly a McLaren. Got out of the way for the race leaders to make their way through, as Nick's following Mario there. Nick's only half a second behind, but these guys did qualify in the top 3 as well, so Nick's might have work cut out for him getting past Mario in order to claim this podium. Rin following just behind, and Nasbit has fallen back behind a little bit and is in club there. Currently in 6th place and likely to just drive this one home. Liam, as we're talking about, our joint championship leader, sat in at 9th position at the moment. In the top 10 quite comfortably, 3.5 seconds clear of the next driver, Springbok Gamer, in 10th position, and a bit of a consolation drive for Liam. But of course Liam came at first and second in the first 2 rounds, so this will be his worst finish so far, 9th, so it'll be discounted using the drop round rules. As we continue with Nick now, still following Mario in through Brooklands and onto Luffield. So Sigir has completed his stop go, and that puts Missile and Darren Mark ahead of him, and Sigir drops down into 14th place. So 6 minutes left in the race. Everyone's doing a roughly 2-minute lap here, so we're looking at 3 laps left for Nix to make the move on Mario and make it stick and hold it in order to get this podium finish. It is worth saying that it's down to the drivers to report any incidents or issues they've had in the race, collisions and the like, and to submit footage to show what happened. And penalties can affect race positions, so the standings you will see at the end of this race may not reflect the final standings of the race, as time penalties may be applied and championship points and standings may change as a result. So, does Nix make this strike on Mario in the next couple of laps to try and go for podium finish, or does he settle for 4th? He's remaining within a second, but he'll need to really be within half a second going into the overtaking zones, such as Stowe, Club, and Village, which are the more common areas to overtake in Silverstone. Really within half a second to make the move stick. It's such a fast track, this. The speeds in general are so high, so you've got to use these low speed corners to your advantage. So Nix was going a little bit wide there. It's not a problem going wide on track, or the game itself will monitor track limits and decide whether or not it's a place which infringes and can issue drive-throughs. But as you can see, they both go off the curb there. It's not so much of a problem in normal racing, so long as you don't gain an advantage by being off track. So that is going off track deliberately or sometimes by mistake, but actually gaining an advantage, such as a huge speed differential by being off track. Or if you actually physically overtake the car whilst outside the white line parameters of the track, you should be returning the position. If not, it could be sanctioned if a driver were to report you for it. So 2 minutes 40 left now. Nick at 0.6 of a second behind Mario. Mario's going to have to keep his cool. Nick's going to have to keep his as well. Will he be able to challenge for this podium position? Looking down the rest of the field, we're relatively spread out. We've got Springbok behind Liam at 1.3 seconds, so Liam will have to defend a little for the last 2 minutes of this in order to maintain his 8th place, where every point counts. Like I said, there are drop rounds, but if you finish you don't finish a race or can't make a particular weekend out of a 10-round series, 10 weeks is a big commitment for a lot of people. Then Liam's 8th place finish could count towards his final championship standings. Should he have a worse finish than that later on in the series. So coming into Village, a big braking zone and possibility for Nix, who doesn't try anything on Mario here and instead chooses just to follow him, retaining just within half a second. He's good right on the bumper there, gets good drive out of loop and through Aintree and down onto the Wellington Straights. He's now within 0.4 of a second. Definite striking range on Mario with only 1 minute left in this race. So our race leader, Harvey, this could be the last lap for Nix to do if the leader Harvey passes the line in slower than 1 minute and 4. He's right on his tail at +4. The pit window is closed. Well, if you haven't done it by now, you've lost your chance with a final minute in the race. And he is right on his tail. 0.4 of a second as they cross the start-finish straight. Going into Copse, all to play for. Possibly the final lap, the last chance to get into the podium positions. Do you play it safe and take the points, or do you go for glory and look for those podium positions? Points mean prizes, and all of this gets added up at the championship standings. Taco Tuesday is so close. Goes down to the wire for the final round. Having an extra 2 points could be all the difference. Whereas our race leader Harvey, he's rounding Luffield. He will cross the start-finish line in order to have one more lap. This is the final lap for the leader. So then Nick will likely get one more lap after this one to try and make this work. He will have had the message that the leader is on the final lap as he goes through Club, as they come out of Club, coming down onto the Hamilton Straight and chasing down Mario for this podium position. And they have traffic ahead. They have some traffic ahead, which within the next lap they may slow their progress down. It could work for either driver. It could hold them up, such as it looks like he's trying to move into Village. They almost touch. He has to back out of it, and he hopefully gets the drive out of loop to stay in this battle. As Mario definitely had the line there, but Mario looks like he's being held up by the traffic ahead as they pull down through Aintree onto the Wellington Straight, and we've got the Audi pulling to one side. But possibly the BMW there of Sigir still ahead of them to get past. So the Audi yielded for the blue flags. Two different lines going into Luffield there, but I would say that that's a bit of a close one there. But I'd say that Nick had the faster line there, but had to slam on the brakes to stop from going up the rear end of Mario as they come down through Woodcut now onto the start-finish straight, and Sigir still leads them into Copse. This will be their final lap. So just watching Harvey there, who is our race leader, coming down the Wellington Straight and on his way to win this race. As Nick's there following Mario. Looks like he's got past him and I've missed it. I can only apologise, guys. I can only apologise. I wanted to see where the leader was. But Nix has made it past Mario, likely going through Copse. And Mario is too far back to correct that. The leader's finished the race. Congratulations to Harvey, who is extremely consistent throughout and has managed to put in an absolutely phenomenal performance for this hour and 13-minute race. Kept his cool and has finished leaps and bounds ahead of the track of the rest of the pack. And as Smith there going through Farm on his way to Village for the second position. Really sorry, guys, that I missed Nix's overtake on Mario. I was following that for so long. I didn't think the move would happen through Copse. I thought it was happen later on in the lap, but Nix there. What a recovery drive from Nix, who by the way, if you missed at the beginning of the race in his first pit stop, picked up a stop-go penalty. He was on the backside of Harvey for the whole race. Went into the pits after he dropped back at around a half-hour mark, and was sped in the pits and picked up a stop-go, and ended up tumbling down the positions, but has recovered to third position as he comes down into Brooklands. We'll go with our second position as they cross Woodcut across the finishing line. Massive congratulations to Smith Goofy Goof 990 for his finishing position. Excellent drive from him. Put lots of pressure on different drivers all the way through and kept us cool. Nix crossing the line, as I said, amazing recovery drive from Nix to bring it back into third. Mario coming in fourth there. Rin coming into fifth. Nasbit flashing the lights as he crosses the line into sixth, followed by Anderson Springbok, who must have got past Liam towards the end of the race. That's bad for Liam, but Liam in the Porsche running out the top 10, and he will keep a good lead in the championship, or certainly up with the standings. Missile Dogshaft, who was my prediction for third, comes in 10th, finishing out the top 10th. From Blue Mosquito, Hansel crossing the line there in 12th. Darren Mark, Ossel in the Honda, some great racing from Ossel that we saw to keep that Honda going. Sige picked up a stop-go penalty towards the end. Gyorfi in the McLaren, Captain in the Audi, Fednad in the yellow Porsche, Jan Van Eyck in the McLaren, who I believe, McLaren, that's an Audi. In the Audi, I believe, had coming together with someone earlier on in the race, finished in 19th. Cablo in the BMW there, and FRL's very own Chris Gedman with Chris Knight and Usual both DNF in the pits, who have been sat there for some time. But, we started with a few more drivers than that, so everyone seems to have gained positions that started towards the back. So a big congratulations to everyone that's finished the session. Fantastic race. Great to see that it went right down to the wire. Apologies we missed the crucial overtake. I wonder if we'll get that on a replay. Let's have a look. Would we get it on a replay? Did it happen too long ago? So which car is it? Car number 89 is Nix. So can we go back 5 seconds? So let's change the camera. It's difficult to see anything in the dark. So that looks like an overtake off track to me. So if the drivers want to raise a ticket about this, that's gaining an advantage off track, and the position should really have been returned. So that might change things, unfortunately, for those drivers going forward. But I will have to wait and see. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. And for anyone that wants to watch after the stream has ended, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like these videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It means a lot to us. Thanks for watching, and good night.